Hello, everyone. My name is Taal Hasak-Lowy, and I'm the Executive Director of Friends of the Children, Chicago. We are a mentoring organization, but I like to say that we're a mentoring organization on steroids. There's several things that make us unique from other mentoring organizations. First, it's who we serve. We intentionally identified the children born into the most challenging circumstances, and we work hard to build a relationship with that child and family so that the family agrees to enroll their child into our program. All children start in our program in kindergarten. We then make a 12 and a half year, no matter what, commitment to stay by that child and family's side. There is nothing a child or family can do to be kicked out of our program. We even follow our children and families if they move, because many of them are transient, if it's because of caregiver instability, housing insecurity, or interpersonal or community violence. As long as they move within a 25-mile radius of our clubhouse, we stay with them. And then we don't work with volunteer mentors. It's our full-time, salaried, trained staff are the professional mentors. I am delighted to have with me here today, Jonathan James, one of our professional mentors. Before I introduce you all to Jonathan, we were going to have Kiana Snow with us, who helped launch our Empower program, but she is out with the flu. And so, Jonathan, thank you very much for stepping up into our program. Jonathan James is one of our professional mentors that's been with us for 4 years and is actively involved with the Empower phase of our program. So before, Jonathan, I turn to you, I want to explain a few other things. So all children start in our program when they're in kindergarten, and we commit to staying by their side until the end of high school, no matter what. We are part of a national network with over 40 locations across the country. Many of our colleagues are on this call right now, so hi to you all. And what we know is that the poverty and segregation and violence is in Chicago is off the charts different compared to anyone else. So we divide our program into 3 phases. Kindergarten through 5th grade is called the Foundations phase. 6th through 8th grade is called the Empower phase. The oldest kids in our program today are in 8th grade, and then 9th through 12th grade will be called Launch. So before we get into the specifics, Jonathan, I'm just wondering if you can introduce yourself, why you chose to become a professional mentor, and what you love about it.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. My name is Jonathan James. As Tal said, I've been a mentor for 4 years with Friends of the Children. I've probably been a mentor my entire life. I have a background in basketball, which consists of more than X's and O's. You're a father, you're a listener, you're a teacher. And when I learned about Friends of the Children, it just made sense with the work that I've been doing. And then you connect that we are paid full benefits. It was a match made in heaven for me.
So thank you. So again, this is Jonathan's full-time salaried job. He's gone through extensive training in order to work here. And he works with a roster of 8 boys. All of the boys that he's working with, he has boys in a various range of ages, but all of them have been in our program since kindergarten. Before we get to the specifics, so during the foundations year, when children are in kindergarten through 5th grade, we have 5 focus areas that we work on with the kids: self-awareness, building independent skills, goal setting, literacy development, and building a team of support, making sure they have other positive regulated adults to work with them. We worked here internally in Chicago to build out our Empower program, and we put together 5 pillars that we work on with our 6th through 8th graders. And so they are self-love, knowledge and learning, community and belonging, life skills, agency and self-determination, and career exploration. And we continue seeing children in sixth through eighth grade individually, but we also do group programming because they're now preteens and teens. And the most fun, what they love to do most is to hang out with other teenagers. And we work on those six pillars. Uh, Jonathan, as his boys got older, realized that the Black young men that he worked with needed additional support. And so he created a program called Pieces of a Young Man. And I'm wondering, which this is the second year that he's running it for the sixth through eighth grade boys in our program. And so, Jonathan, I wonder if you can tell us a little bit about why you created the program and sort of what's part of that. Describe it.
Well, before I started with Friends, I attended a program called Pieces of a Man. It was kind of like a men's group. They brought therapists in, different influential people in the community, and it was just a safe space to, talk about our feelings. And I noticed that as our boys got older, the risk of them joining communities outside of Friends of the Children was growing. So I wanted to create something that can keep all our boys together, where we can be vulnerable, where we can lift each other up. And that's how we came up with Pieces of a Young Man.
Wonderful. Do you want to just talk about a few different components of it, and then we'll get into the particular activity that we're going to talk about?
Yeah, so I stuck with the five focus areas. We had goal setting where I brought in different entrepreneurs to speak to the kids. With self-awareness, we had a therapist in that held group conversations for building independence and literacy development. I had a friend by the name of Harold Green that writes books. He came in and did a group read with the boys. They all made these little balls that we called love bubbles. So they picked different colors to describe different people, different feelings, and they created those. And it was just really a chance to just build community. Every morning we would meet, we would eat breakfast together, we would have check-ins, and it was just us for 3 hours, and the boys really loved it.
So a few weeks ago, you held an incredible program called Masculinity. Can you tell everyone a little bit about what the activity was, why you did it, and what the activity was?
Well, I'm a very big hip hop fan, and one of my favorite artists is Tyler, the Creator. He has a song on his most recent album called "I Hope You Take Your Mask Off," and I just got inspired by it. So instead of spelling masculinity the normal way, we took it and put MASK. The whole day was built around the mask that society creates for us. So we brought in another therapist to speak with the kids, and we went around talking about what people see us as or the adjectives that people describe us. And we put that on the outside of the mask. And then on the inside of the mask, I told them to come up with words that they feel about themselves. And it was very telling. A lot of kids, felt sad inside, but they covered it up with, you know, the feelings of, trying to be cool or fitting into the in crowd. Um, a lot of conversations, but it definitely was healing.
So you can see on the outside of the masks, they wrote, these are again, sixth through eighth graders, how they feel that people, the adults in their lives, see them: stupid, dumb, problem, thug, gangbanger, right? And then on the inside, they wrote who they feel they really are: basketball player, smart. I can't see the rest of what he wrote. Can you go to the next slide, please? Right? Bad kid, scared, bum, kind, lover boy, good kid. Um, and so after that, Jonathan, what type of conversation did the kids, like, what did they share with you through this experience?
I've heard everything from I'm carrying sadness inside because my father isn't in my life. One kid says he went to TikTok. He likes creating dances because he deals with so much turmoil at home. Another kid was still feeling the effects of missing his father. So um, I just noticed that the kids were carrying a lot of big emotions, but they were covering up with what they feel they needed to be to make people around them feel comfortable.
And one of the things, when we talked to prep for this call, when you graciously stepped up when Kiana called in sick, I asked you if you thought that it made a difference that the kids have been with us, the boys have been with us since kindergarten. Can you share your response, like why you think it's important that we've been with these boys since they've been in kindergarten?
Um, It's very important because the biggest thing about being a mentor is the relationship building. When I first started, it took me a while to break down some of the walls with my boys. But as we grew and the consistency of seeing them every week, they became comfortable. So now, with my boys being in eighth grade, the conversations that they have with me, they come to me as a buffer between them and their parents, or how can I explain this to my mom and dad? And then myself personally, I have a 13-year-old boy. So the same way that I love on him and pour into him, I do the same thing with my boys. So they know that they can come to me to talk at any time.
Thank you. We're going to shift for a moment to talk about one of the kids on your roster named Carter.
Mhm.
And I want to talk and maybe be a bit provocative here that I think there's a lot of programs that want to teach children born into poverty who experience lives harder than ours. We need to teach them social emotional skills. We need to teach them resilience. We need to teach them how to think before they act. We need to teach them how to be kind. Um, and I think that for most of us that don't live that reality, it's hard for us to fully comprehend what it means to be beaten up by someone in your home, what it means to not have your own bed to sleep in, what it means to see your mom beaten up by someone, what it means by, and I could fill it in with 50 other descriptions of the real lives that our children go through. Um, so Jonathan has been paired with Carter. He's one of the eighth graders in our program, who came into our program in kindergarten. I love that picture with the ice cream cone. And if I have time, I'll tell you guys the story about that. But Carter came into our program uh, in February when he was in kindergarten. His father had died of a drug overdose when he was in kindergarten that December. Mom was significantly struggling. By the time he was in first grade, he had been beaten up. Carter had been beaten up by three adults in his life. Um, Mom was struggling to keep secure housing. They moved around a bunch until in second grade, DCFS took Carter out of his home. Mom eventually lost custody. And right around the time of COVID, he was placed into the home of a woman who's a professional foster mother who I would say keeps him housed and fed, but there's not a lot of love happening there. Jonathan, Felix, one of our program managers, was Carter's first mentor for the first 4 years in the program, and now Jonathan has been with him. Jonathan, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about Carter and then how Carter responded to the mask activity and also how you help him navigate his challenging life at home with his foster mother.
Yeah. Well, Carter's an amazing kid. Always smiling, lots of energy, but you can tell that he carries a lot of hurt, and you can tell that the trauma he experienced um, has him fatigued. Just a couple of weeks ago, I took him to the barber shop, and I just watched as he like fell asleep. You can tell that he's carrying a lot. But I think with the Pieces of a Young Man program, he was able to feel comfortable enough to speak in front of the other boys. He's very closed off sometimes when it's just me and him one on one, but seeing that it was other boys going through things similar to him, it was able to calm his nervous system and it allowed him to open up. And he spoke a bunch during that session. So I think between, the commitment we have, 12 years, no matter what, and me consistently showing up, and then the fact that he sees these boys and we created this community where, every weekend they're going to see each other, it gave him like a platform and a safe space to just be.
And what he recently lost an iPad or
Yeah.
something or a tablet. and he was really scared that he was going to get in a lot of trouble with the foster mother, and so he called you. Can you tell
Yes.
us what happened there?
So yesterday, me and him had an outing. I dropped him off, and I just kept getting phone calls. I had about 12 of them, and he was like, "Mr. Jonathan, have you seen my iPad? I can't find it." Went in the car and found it, and he was like super relieved, like, thank you so much." Something simple, like I'm definitely gonna get it back to him, but just knowing that I was the first for him to call. So
Right, that first line, right? So the children in our program, including one of the boys that we just saw in a mask, with his mask inside and out, um, continue to go through hard times. We have on our staff family and community engagement specialists that are available to help connect the parents and caregivers of the children in our program to other resources, but we can't force them to take advantage of other supports if they're not ready to. And so, what we can do for our children that are witnessing violence at home, that don't have stable housing, we can't fix all of their problems. But what Jonathan and all of our professional mentors can do for those children is to say, I see you. I see what you're going through is really, really hard, right? We can validate their feelings. We can help them talk about their feelings and try to give them space to actually be children. Um, Jonathan, we have a great question in the chat, right? So your kids are going through really hard lives. You continue to show up for these 8 kids. How do you take care of yourself?
well, I'll be completely honest. The first year of working at Friends was very hard for me because I always compare it to baseball. You want to get to the plate and hit a home run every time. And I came out hot. I was hitting home runs, and then the trauma creeps in, and then, them being transient, and it's a lot of other variables. So I had to get used to just hitting base hits, and then I had to get used to just getting on base. But as time grew, you learn your boys, you learn the little intricate things that can either make them feel super happy, or we might get a blow up. But no matter what, you just keep showing up. So it's getting easier over time. I play a lot of video games when I get home. I still coach basketball. That's always like a stress reliever for me. But I've just learned to make peace with the fact that I'm not going to be able to fix anything. I'm not going to be able to save the whole world. I just try to give them as many tools to put in their tool belt so when they do face challenges, they're able to use them.
Thank you. And all of our professional mentors are supervised by a program manager, and the program manager is looking over the data to make sure that they're spending enough time with their kids, to make sure that they are using the training that we give them, that they're working on the focus areas. But one of their main purposes is to check in on the mentors and to make sure that they're okay. So if Jonathan has a roster of kids that are going through a really hard time, Felix, his program manager, will tell him, like, hey, Jonathan, go take a few days off so you can take care of yourself because we're in a marathon. We're not in a sprint. We do not have any illusion that we are, quote, saving anybody, right? But what the research shows and what being part of a national network with over 30 years of experience shows, and what our own experience for over the last 8 years in Chicago shows, that when you consistently show up for a child and you love on them to celebrate their incredible successes, and you help them overcome their challenges and obstacles, that makes a difference. And just like with our own children, right? Like so many programs wait to start with children until they're teenagers, until they start showing problems. But I didn't wait to start parenting my own children until they were teenagers, right? You have to start really early, and that's what we're doing with our kids, and what Jonathan is doing. Um, uh, right. So Barbara Hoffman, thank you. Just wrote a beautiful comment. Jonathan, the boys are so lucky to have you showing up for them. What a gift you and the other mentors are for the children. We just have a few more minutes left. I want to open it up for questions. Um, I understand you're only operating in Chicago for 8 years, but what does your experience show happens after the 12 years is done? And how do you measure success with your children? Matthew, I love that question. So we have, and in the email that I'm going to send you all, I'll share with you the long-term outcomes from the Friends of the Children Network. So 92% of the kids that go through our program go on to enroll in post-secondary education, enlist in the military, or enter full-time employment. But we also created annual measurable outcomes so that we know each year we're making a difference in the life of a child. It's important to our funders, right? If they give us $10,000, someone wants to know, how do we make a difference? But it's also really important for our mentors to know that we're making a difference. And it's also really important that our children and families know that it makes a difference. And that's why all of the children in our program work towards and accomplish 4 personal goals. That's why we work on literacy development. That's why in Empower, we work on career exploration. So in my follow-up email, Matthew, I'll share with you sort of the annual measurable outcomes that we put together. Someone just asked me, how do we identify children for our program? That's a really important question. Families cannot sign up for our program. Say, what? Because if a kindergartner has a parent or caregiver that knows that they benefit from a program, they should be in a mentoring program, but not Friends of the Children. Instead, we receive referrals from the schools, from DCFS, and from gun violence intervention programs. And then we do outreach, not me, our program team does outreach to build a relationship with that child's parent or caregiver. We start by asking them, what are your hopes and dreams for your child? And we build that relationship so that we can gain their trust, so that then voluntarily enroll their child in our program. Beatrice, I'm so happy to see you on here. We currently do have openings for mentees, and we would love some from DCFS, and we're working on it. In January, we're going to be enrolling 24 more kindergartners into our program, bringing us up to a total of 152 children. All of the children that we enroll in our program start out by living on the west side, predominantly Austin and North Lawndale, or on the south side, Englewood, Chatham, or Auburn, Gresham. And again, however, if our children or families move, we follow them. Jonathan and all of our professional mentors drive children in their personal vehicles. They have cameras to make sure that they abide by our youth protection policy, but we'll follow them wherever they move within a 25-mile radius. I love that the questions are pouring in. Let's see.
I can answer that one, Tom.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. So are there opportunities for older mentees to return and speak with younger mentees about their experiences? Yes, that's a great one.
Our kids are, like Tal said, our oldest kids are in 8th grade. My roster consists of mostly 7th and 8th graders, and I have one second grader. That second grader actually reminds me of one of my older boys, Lamar, and I basically paired them up. Um, they went to the same school at one point, and I just noticed that Lamar was, super energetic as a child. And I paired him up with this kid. They read together, they look at each other as brothers. So going forward with our older kids, I'm truly pushing for them to pour back into the younger kids and share their experiences.
Right. And so Jonathan helped start it to have our older kids reading to our younger kids. Literacy is one of our big focus. I have a lot to say on that if anyone ever wants to talk to me about literacy. And to create a buddy system as our kids get older. Jonathan is also playing an integral part. We are right now getting to learn our Empower kids, the kids in 6th through 8th grade, their career interests. And then we want them to go out into the world and shadow different people so that we can expose them to a wide variety of different careers. What I want you all to know is that we are talking about real children who live lives that are harder than most of us can imagine. And we know that we'll be showing up for them, right? They're each assigned a professional mentor. We work with them in groups. as well, because teenagers like to hang out with teenagers. But we are always working in Chicago to figure out what can we do better? What can we do better to support the children in our program so that they can get the proper support like every human being needs and so that they can thrive. I want to thank you all so much for spending this time to us, spending time with us here today. Jonathan, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for working with us and sharing your magic with all of the children in our program. And it is an absolute, absolute delight to speak with you all. I'll send you all a follow-up email. If you ever want to continue the conversation, please let me know because I love talking about this. In utmost gratitude to all of you, wishing you wonderful, wonderful holidays. Bye, everyone.